I need
Go
your
up.
signature on those two.
Oh, look.
Oh, no, you just turned off your walkie-talkie.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Well,
Okay, we have a quorum, don't we? Yes, we do. Excellent. Welcome to the November 2023 meeting of the Merrimack Valley School Board. We'll begin with attendance, please.
Julie Longnecker,
Here,
Maggie Jones Blanchard,
she's not able to come.
Tracy Bricky,
here.
Sally Hurst Dickinson,
She's not able to come.
Jessica Wheeler Russell,
Here.
Laura Vincent,
Here.
Eric Hansen, Daniel York,
He's not able to come.
Owen Harrington,
He's not able to come.
That should be all, right?
here,
Would you like to bring
and
it?
Melissa Buckley.
Melissa's here. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Could I have a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting?
So moved. Second.
Any additions, corrections, questions? Sally's not here. We could get away with this.
Right
I
through.
think 2 months in a row, she said we're all good.
Oh, wow. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will now open the floor for public comment for items on the agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to comment? Okay. SAU report on MV Business and Finance. Hillary?
Sure. So on page 7 of your packet, you will see the November financial report. You'll see we have, the typical overages. Not many have changed, but they are in special ed and just district-wide building improvements and operation of building for equipment and furniture and items like that. Special ed are due to mostly contracted expenses. Those are what we know now. Those funds are encumbered. So those overages are hopefully not going to change too much. Down at the bottom, you'll see that we still have some transfers to be made from the 2900 function. That's where the collectively bargained agreements are held. We just haven't had an opportunity to make those changes. And then being passed around right now, I just need your signatures on the DOE 25 and the MS 25 for our state reporting for fiscal year 23.
Thank you. Good news?
The good news is in the digital packet, and hopefully you all had a chance to check out. As always, we have a whole bunch of good news from all around the district. And tonight, to add to that good news, I'm going to introduce Stephanie Wheeler, and she's going to have some folks from Salisbury and Webster.
Good evening. I want to take a minute to thank my staff and students who are here tonight. We had a trip to Boston Museum of Science today, so it was a long day for them, but they're out here tonight to share some information about our summer adventure camp that we had in Salisbury and Webster this summer. So they will take a minute to introduce themselves. I would like to mention that we had 2 students that were supposed to be here that are not with us. They were unable to get here tonight. So these guys are also stepping up to the plate and filling in some parts that they weren't originally assigned to. So I'll turn it over, and we've got a slideshow for you here, and they've got some stuff that they'd like to share with you.
I'm Charlotte, and I'm in 5th grade at Webster Elementary School, and I'm in student leadership.
I'm Sophia from Webster Elementary School. I'm in 5th grade and a part of the student leadership.
I'm Larkin from Webster Elementary School in 5th grade, and I'm part of the leadership. Summer Adventure Crew.
Hey, you!
This is something that we came up with to get everyone's attention where when there were directions or just for fun.
Get it?
Got it.
This is another thing we would say after directions to check for understanding.
Some details of the camp.
Camp ran from 9 to 2 each day, and 42 kids registered for camp.
We met outside each morning and started our day with a morning meeting, including morning message and activity as a whole group. We ended each day with a closing circle and a glow or a grow for that day.
Field trips.
We went on a couple field trips, including the low ropes course. I like the low ropes course because you need to have good communication and teamwork to trust each other and spot each other. We also learned challenge by choice that was explained to us. People didn't have to do things they didn't want to when they weren't forced to. I really liked that. The challenges weren't super easy, but they weren't too hard either. We had to use teamwork and communication skills to be able to cooperate with others. There was another field trip that when we hiked Kearsarge. I usually hike Kearsarge a lot, but we did a new trail. It was very fun. I also like how we were able to split up according to how fast we wanted to hike, so everyone could hike at their own pace.
It was nice to learn about the Blackwater Dam and go inside it. It is so close to our school, we were able to walk there. I was thinking about how maybe some students would want to work as a park ranger after having that experience. I was excited for the climbing wall before we got to the middle school. The first time I actually climbed the wall, I was horrified by how big it was. After, I was off the wall and it seemed fun instead of scary.
3 new things they learned.
Webster and Salisbury students are a lot alike. We're all just kids, and it's good to be with them. Yeah, and it's good to be with them and learn what we have in common and explore how we may be different. It's nice to know about them before we move. It's nice to know them before we move to middle school.
One thing I learned is being outside in nature is good for you. Usually being outside means you get more exercise. It can help you relax and calm down. Nature can also help when you are worried too. When you see all the beautiful things in the world instead of all the negative things, it can make you feel better. Being outside in the sun also gives you vitamin D.
Teamwork is important because you are going to use it in the future. It's a good skill to learn when you are young, so you can cooperate and work with different people. Since kids stepped out of their comfort zone, it made them less shy by meeting new people. We are all trying and doing new things together.
Some guest speakers.
Coyote Chris was one of our guest speakers. I think it was really nice that she came in to teach us about wildlife and how to respect wildlife.
Another guest speaker was Mike Behrens. We called him Compass Man. It was nice that he came and taught us how to use a compass. We would be prepared if we ever needed that skill in the woods. He taught us in a fun way too.
Dave Kelly, who we called Water Dave, was another guest speaker. We learned about glaciers, rivers, lakes, oceans, clouds, soil, and plants. We also learned about checking to make sure our water was safe at home.
Ranger Bree was another guest teacher. We learned about the water cycle by doing an outdoor activity and water cycle relay. We also learned how the Blackwater Dam operates and how they open the floodgates. Some other activities we did include tie-dye shirts on the first day of camp and wore them on field trips away from school. Campers chose campers chose making a Lego car that would move on its own using other materials, or an egg drop challenge to make a parachute for an egg to safely land after being dropped from a high height.
We did a lot of team building challenge throughout the weeks. We did a lot of games involving tarps. We also used Ubuntu cards for challenges, and when we were at the challenge course, we also participated in team building activities on the field as well. We did some directed drawing activities, including a sandcastle and monsters. We explored origami and watercolor, and on some days and on some days when it was really hot and humid outside, students could choose drawing to have some time in the shade and out of the sun. Yoga was also an option for when it was too hot.
You learn most when you step outside of your comfort zone. Summer camp made us step out of our comfort zone in a few ways, including meeting new people, having new experiences, like the rock wall, and overcoming challenges individually or working with a group.
It was good to have the two schools together. We will be together in middle school and high school, and it's good to step outside your comfort zone and meet new people. We had a chance to make new friends. We were often broken into random groups throughout activities and couldn't just partner up with our best friends, which helped us connect with new people.
3 different grades was nice. We kind of know the same grade level from each school, but not always the other grades. For the incoming 3rd graders, they will now be having lunch and recess with the older students, so it's a good chance for them to get to know the older grades and the older students to know them before the school year starts.
The last day.
Students broke into 4 groups halfway through the camp. Each group was responsible for planning an activity for the last day and running it. We had to have good communication and teaching skills. We also had to make compromises with our group members.
We had a barbecue on the last day, thanks to the PTO from Salisbury and Webster, who paid for the yummy food and drinks. We ended camp by turning on some sprinklers and had so much fun. During pickup on the last day, there were so many students and parents who were wishing for camp to last longer. Please enjoy a slideshow of some of our adventures.
If this life is one act, why do we lay all these traps? We put them right in our path when we just want to be free. I will not waste my days making up all kinds of ways to worry about all the things that will not happen to me. So I just let go of what I know I don't know. And I know I only do this by living in the moment, living my life easy and breezy, peace in my mind, peace in my heart, peace in my soul.
I hope we are able to continue this for many years in the future. I hope other schools can do the same thing. We hope other students who decide to join get to experience what we got in those 2 short but fun-filled weeks. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for coming out and sharing that. It sounds like it really was fun. And I hope you get to do it again.
Alrighty, I have a few things for you guys tonight. Starting with the Student Advisory Council is going to team up with an organization called Up for Learning and Granite United Way for a student leadership initiative known as Getting to the Why. This leadership group analyzes youth risk behavior survey data after being trained by professionals and develops a way to share this information with the school community. Mr. Stevenson's AP Psychology class is also part of this initiative, as half a dozen students have reached out with interest. The Healthy Living classes are actively engaging in the standard first aid, CPR, and AED unit. At the end of this unit, students will receive their American Red Cross CPR and AED certifications. MVHS students Caden Drew and Craig White restored 2 mountain bikes in their Dare to Repair class. The bikes were donated to the class in hopes that they could be fixed and given away. Caden and Craig took on the project from start to end, and both thought that the bike's new homes should go with 2 deserving MVMS students. After working with Principal Lynch, the bikes did find homes with 2 middle school students. The sports management class will be hosting the 2nd annual Gravy Bowl, a girls' flag football tournament between all 4 grades at the high school. It'll be held on November 14th on the game field at 3 p.m. A group of students, along with Mr. Stevenson, have been working hard on a weekly news broadcast at the high school called the MV Minute. Episodes go up every Wednesday and can be found on the school website. This week is National French Week, so I have some French jokes.
All right.
What do you call an angry aunt? A croissant.
That was good. That was great.
There was an explosion at a French cheese factory. All that was left was debris.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Nick. Moving on to committee reports, we'll begin with facilities.
Yes, in the packet, you'll find the minutes from the meeting we had before the last meeting. So there's no new business to bring tonight. We already just had a discussion around the turf field and the additional funding for the study for the Learning Center. So that is all I have.
Okay. Policy.
All right, so, excuse me, so policy met on October 16th, and I am noticing in the notes that we have a little bit of 2 thoughts were combined into one. The 2 policies that we were bringing forward from our meeting, the IKF and the IKFA, were being presented tonight for a first and only read. We were waiving the second read, so we just need to make that correction in our minutes. And you'll also note that there is a wellness policy in there, JLCF. This is a policy that needs to be reapproved every 3 years, and there was no changes to it. So it was just added to the packet in terms of having everybody have a chance to look at it when you received your packet and to hopefully get it approved for tonight. So all 3 of these would be a first and only. There were minor changes to the policies that were in here. And most likely, I believe the graduation policy will end up with another change for next year based on some of the changes that are happening in legislation and in school.
I have a question about the IKF,
Mhm.
the graduation. Oh, wait. There is a possibility for a student to graduate with 20 credits.
So the state of New Hampshire has a 20-credit diploma, and most schools, and I believe this school, Merrimack Valley, does offer students the opportunity to graduate with a 20-credit diploma, but it doesn't change anything, if I'm correct on that.
So that's not mentioned in this policy. I mean, the policy is very clear that you need 24 credits to graduate, but you can, with the proper documentation and so on, graduate with 20. I'm a little nervous about this being not mentioned. If it's an option, which it is. Am I correct?
Is there a difference in name?
No, it's a graduation.
It's still a high
Is
school
that-
diploma.
It says, there's no way to distinguish it on the diploma?
Does the diploma look different?
I don't know the
I
answer
do
to
not
that
know the answer
question.
to that.
I don't think it does.
I don't think so. I think it's just a diploma.
Um,
So there is a policy for early graduation, IKFA, and the 20 credit would fall into that category.
What?
You would?
Well, because you're graduating earlier than the typical
Okay.
26 credit.
Oh,
And
but,
you do have to, the 20 credit, you can't just get to 20 and say, okay, I'm done.
Right.
right.
So you have to request that, and that procedure, as opposed to a policy, is outlined at both the Learning Center and at the high school.
Oh, okay.
okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't look at IKFA and that, I can see how that covers my question. I'm sorry to be picky here, but,
No, it's a valid question.
okay, so, and I should have got a motion before I did that, but
Can
anyway,
I move?
could you make a motion,
I will.
please?
I will move graduate policy IKF and IKFA.
And
And we also have
JLCF.
the,
No, are we doing JLCF also?
yes,
Oh, sorry.
there were no changes to that policy. It just needs to be reviewed and renewed every 3 years.
Okay, and JLCF.
Did you get that, Kristen? Okay, is there
Sorry,
a
Kristen.
second to Tracy's motion?
I'll second.
Okay, any questions, comments, discussion?
These are meant for a first with a wave of second read. Just want to make sure
That's why I
that.
made, yeah, that's why I made the motion.
Okay. Are we clear?
Mhm.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Curriculum.
I can speak to curriculum because Owen isn't here. So curriculum committee met on October 16th and we had a presentation from Kim Haley, who was the representative for the student assistance program. That's a program that we have both here at the high school and at the middle school. She summarized the purpose of the program and the outcomes that we have seen through that program for the curriculum committee.
Okay, finance, do you want to?
So we had a fairly abbreviated finance committee meeting. Hillary did give us some news. Some was good. I can tell you that the adequacy money will be released on November 15th, and preliminarily, it looks like there'll be an increase of $1,247,614. Whoop, whoop. And that's the only good news we got. So, oh, that's right. I'm sorry. The retirement rates did stay flat. So I guess that's good news. Unfortunately, one of the major influences is, as what last year, health and dental. Last year, if you remember, our health and dental, the increase was 11.1%. Sorry. This year, our maximum is 21.8%, which is about a $1.3 million increase to the budget. So that is not looking very good. She did give us the Andover, why can't I think of the word? Thank you, the tuition rate for Andover. But so she did also give us the what our average cost per pupil is for the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school, and district-wide here in MVHS. And as you know, our new tuition agreement will start next year. And our new tuition agreement, based on the high school tuition rate of $16,119.26, for Andover will be $14,507.33 next year, which is about a $500 decrease from the tuition rate of this year. So that's about all we have for you. We do have 4 more meetings scheduled. We had a short but sweet meeting, and we certainly will look to do what we can to alleviate the heartache of an increase in the budget. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to old business, the NHSBA Delegate Assembly. Will you tell us how that went?
So we had the delegate assembly on October 14th, and it was a well-attended event. Started off with a presentation by Oyster River School Board members who, Oyster River School Board was a recipient of the School of Excellence, School Board Excellence. And so they shared a little bit about their initiatives and some of the work they were doing, and also showed off one of their new buildings, which was quite impressive. But it was kind of nice to hear about their initiatives because they are similar to a lot of the things that we're doing. And so it was really nice to, they're being recognized for the work they're doing, but we're doing some of those same things. So that was kind of nice. And of course, I can't give you a specific example right this second because I don't have my list in front of me. We also did vote to approve all of the changes to the bylaws. So there were 3, if you remember correctly. So that got approved. We did move all the existing resolutions forward. There was one change with one of those. One of the resolutions was about supporting the National School Board Association, and the School Board Association obviously wanted to change that because we're not affiliated with them as we were. So we did approve to make that change as well. And then there was quite a lot of discussion about the proposed resolutions, and they were voted on as presented. And then the last one that was presented late got withdrawn. So there was nothing to vote on that one. So there'll be a summary of that report if it isn't already up, but it will be up on the school board's website.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is our system of care update, and I believe Becky is going to tell us what's going on.
This on? Oh, there we go. All right, Mike's good. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to just give some brief updates on our system of care work. Just to review our overarching goals as a district for our multi-tiered system of support for behavioral health and wellness, which I'll refer to as MTSSB for the remainder of this. Overarching goals at the district level, our goal for 22-23 and for 23-24 is to continue our MTSSB implementation for all schools, and to measure fidelity at all of our schools this year. So really we get a K-12 view of what's happening in terms of supports for our students, behavior, health, and wellness, and a professional development opportunities, which includes challenge course facilitator training, as you saw the presentation tonight, and last month with the middle school. So ongoing PD there, responsive classroom training, trauma-informed response training, conflict resolution for our district staff. Our second goal is our behavioral health integration with our community mental health center, which is Riverbend. Reviewing our crisis response process with our counselors, meaning if students are sent out of our schools, possibly to hospital, a placement, outside counseling that might need some more intensive care, what that looks like when they leave our schools, and also when they come back to our schools, really to work on a warm handoff, but also receiving those students to provide supports. And additional crisis response training and resources for our schools. So that could include self-harm, but also threat assessments in schools. So that's an area we're looking to develop and provide more training for. And at school level, ongoing MTSSB overview for all staff, right? So smaller increments of just education around our tiered system, reviewing all the great things we're doing and looking for any gaps in services. Building on the Adventure Ed experiential approaches, at the school level, which you've seen some photos of the challenge course, but also what can we do in the classroom? What are some ways we can engage students adventure-based, building on the social, personal, and academic skill building around behavior health and wellness. Progress on our tiered teams. We've seen significant growth in our K-5 alignment and responsive classroom approaches. In June, we were able to offer 2 separate trainings for our elementary staff at the core, which is a level 1 responsive classroom training, and advanced, which is a 4-day training that was offered the week after school got out. So we thank those folks for their dedication in June to attending that training. Continued growth in our family outreach and education by our student and family outreach counselors and/or social workers, depending on the roles, which we have access to those positions in all of our buildings in the district. Continued growth in our transition programming, summer, and adventure approaches across the district. That includes facilitator training. And then most recently at the district level, we are signing a memorandum of understanding with the I'm going to forget the acronym. At the Advocacy Center, sorry, so many acronyms. And really the HEART program is the ability to the Advocacy Center to contact our school counselors and say, this student has been involved in our program here. They've experienced a traumatic event, which could be to them, or they witnessed things like domestic violence or some type of trauma response. We're not notified of the details, but it gives a heads up to our school counselors with parent permission saying the student shouldn't be penalized for missing classes or missing sports, or really we're excited about that connection just so our school counselors can offer supports to the family if they're interested. And on our tiered teams, 22-23, we were measuring progress in our schools, doing a fidelity inventory, which I'll show you a slide in a minute on what that the growth areas are. But this year we're really measuring for fidelity in all of our schools, or will be, which is exciting. And then formalizing tier 1 teams, which are leadership teams that already exist in our building, but also incorporating some focus on behavior health and wellness. I'm excited about this slide. If you're not a data person, I apologize in advance. We have administered a fidelity inventory. If you can see it, it's the first administration was in September of 21, then September of 22, and then again this year. And that line that goes across means that we've met fidelity. 75% means fidelity. And what we're measuring in this slide is our district community leadership team growth. That is a group that meets monthly that includes district administrators, building administrators, and community partners, really looking at community data and district-wide aggregate data and making decisions for behavior health and wellness. The second section is our district leadership and support. And that includes our district administrators, building administrators, but also community partners, how they're able to support our work, how we're able to support theirs. So overall growth, we were at 10% in 2021. When we measured for fidelity this past September, we're at 63%. So some pretty exciting growth. This is just a heat map, a visual. So the light blue would start at 0, meaning we haven't been implementing yet. In the dark blue, it is growth, so either 50%, 75%. But I'll show you here, this was 2021, 2022, and 2023, where we showed growth in all areas of our district leadership and support and our community leadership. So I won't get into the weeds here, but just to give you a visual, it's pretty exciting to see what's happening. This slide is our behavioral health integration module. So how are we connecting with our community mental health center? So this first section is 88%. That's pretty high, gold standard. So how are we connecting with behavioral health leadership, with the directors of Riverbend, ongoing meetings monthly? How can we make services better, access for our students and families? Our behavioral health systems, that includes our school liaison role, our co-located services in our schools. Are we able to offer those? Here is the behavioral health services. This is where we took a dip, right? So we're not presenting all great data. This is data. We took a drop because this means, can we offer either co-located services or get students into community mental health within 2 weeks of referral. That's not happening. Last year, at our best was 6 to 8 weeks from referral to intake. Currently, the wait list, it was 4 months last month. Now there's not a wait list because the list is so long that Riverbend is collecting folks' phone numbers and reaching out to them. So we took a dip here as a district, but also as an county because of the workplace shortage. I think Riverbend's down about 25% of their clinicians, so they are not fully staffed. So we see those effects here. We have 3 schools that offer co-located services: the high school, the middle school, and Pennacook. Currently, we are staffed at the middle school. Next week, high school will get a new clinician, which is exciting, and we're hoping our clinician is back in Pennacook in January. And I say our clinician, it's Riverbend, it's not a district employee. This is nothing that we can control, but just through our partnership. So that's the negative. But overall growth, there's been a lot of growth, in the past 2 years. Just with our connection of referring students out, but also Riverbend notifying us if a student's been discharged, if they're moving the student to maybe family supports. And then I'll follow up with some more positives. I won't talk in depth about the school programming. I think the schools do a way better job and have way better videos. But these are some of our creative approaches. The Adventure Ed Experiential, that's been awesome. We're 1 year in, and that's really, there's a lot of great things happening. Our SAP counselors, student assistance program counselors, are accessing that, classrooms, and also our home visits. That's a unique approach beyond just home visits for truancy, really trying to be preventative. And that could include swinging by the food pantry, bringing food to families, but also saying, do you need help connecting with outside resources, and doing more of a warm handoff. That's been really successful. We've just started to collect data on what that looks like at the district level. So I'll be excited to share that out at the end of the year when we have a better picture. These are some of our counselors and teachers going through training for challenge course approaches. We were able to offer training in October of 2022. And then this summer, we were able to offer beginner training for more staff and a follow-up for experienced staff in August. So total, we have 22 facilitators in 1 year. We're pretty excited about that. 8 of those are school counselors or social workers. So a third of our school counselors went through training, which is just a unique way to engage students and maybe do some of that bridge work where we know students have needs. How can we get creative in how we're servicing those students who may not feel comfortable sitting across from a school counselor and having a conversation, but can we bring this activity outside? In the final data slide, I promise. So on the left-hand side, you can see unexcused absences per 100 students went up from 21-22 to 22-23, which makes sense. 21-22, students could say they were out with COVID or they were sick, and we really didn't, it was hard to measure. So an increase in unexcused absences, at least for a half day, increased. However, I was really excited to see the percent of students with at least 1 truancy, which means greater than 10 unexcused half-day absences, decreased even though we measured the high school this past year. So we onboarded 2 schools. 4 of our schools is how we collected data. And we had a decrease in 9% of truancy. And we think that's probably in part from home visits, our prevention work, approaches in counseling, but also classroom engagement using some adventure approaches, but also just our support from our counselors, from our administrators. So that was exciting data, as exciting as it gets. Grant funding update. So June 21-22 is when the System of Care grant work was started. The initial allocation was $200,000. We were able to gain additional funding funding was offered through the System of Care pool around the state. So we were able to access $56,000 that year. This past year, as grant funding does, we were allocated less money, so $125,000. We were able to access 2 additional funding opportunities, which totaled just north of $150,000. And that helped pay for a lot of challenge course, some of the initiatives that we're looking at district-wide. And in addition, this past year, we were able to connect with the Preschool Development Grant and Capital Area Public Health Network for family outreach events. So Lynn Lyons, we were able to offer in June. That was fantastic. That was through a partnership which our community partners funded. This year, our System of Care grant allocation so far is $125,000. We will aggressively pursue more money as that comes out, as we have the past 2 years. And as of a week and a half ago, we were awarded a Promising Futures grant for $25,000 for this school year to focus on our Tier 1 prevention work. And as Nick mentioned, Getting to Why is a great program. The high school will be looking at our YRBS data and really student-driven. Students are going to come up with a project. They're going to present out to a community panel. Hopefully you folks will all come out. And that's between 5 and 10,000. So I put 7,500 just to somewhere in the middle. So overall in the past 3 years, additional funding beyond the System of Care grant was $243,982.95. So just some good money updates. Questions?
I have a couple questions. Can I do my door?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I just have, and I'm sorry if you said this and I missed it, but which 4 schools were we including in on this?
So 4 schools that we were really measuring data in terms of attendance, office discipline, referrals, and so on. High school, middle school, Boscawen, Pennacook.
Awesome. Thanks. And then the only other question I have is I understand, the challenges with Riverbend and across the state, but have they given any kind of idea as to when they might secure more staffing, or is this just up in the air like a lot of other things are right now?
I know they secured someone last week who will be starting in a couple weeks,
Yeah.
so I think it's weekly, almost weekly updates as they can hire folks, hopefully soon.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Is there any way that we could is there any way that we could partner with more than one agency?
So community mental health is Riverbend in our area, in our catchment area. In terms of looking at outside resources, there could be possibilities. I think that's data privacy and memorandum of understanding, but I think it's hard in general to find supports and resources, but that's something we can certainly look to. Yeah, I know.
No, I don't know if anybody has enough people working. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. That was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate those updates.
It's moving around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just.
No, that thing I need to sign too. Thank you, darling.
Meeting dates?
Yes. We need to set,
I need to turn on there. We need to schedule some committee meetings. I know finance has scheduled a bunch. And they know about those, or do you want those in the minutes?
Oh, we can put them in.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
So finance is going to be meeting on November 27th at the SAU. December 4th, right here in MVHS, right before the board meeting. December 11th at the SAU, December 18th at the SAU. And all of those meetings are at 5:30.
Others, do you have meetings?
Policy would probably need to.
Policy?
Yep.
I promised to write this one down.
All right.
No worries.
Catherine, do you have any others that you need to?
I didn't catch up with Owen in advance of this to talk about curriculum.
Oh, okay.
Policy is the.
Policy, we'll set policy and maybe, there probably should be a curriculum committee meeting before our next board meeting but you can get to us with that after you get with Owen. All right, so let's see. Monday nights. Finance is meeting
The 27th of,
The 27th.
The
right, so.
27th.
If I could.
Yeah,
jump
go.
in, I'd like to set up a tentative meeting on the 20th of the Student Ethics Committee. There may be a need to have a meeting on that night. That one's pretty time sensitive, so we do have to kind of lock in. That'll be at the SAU. And I think we can probably go with 5 o'clock
What's the date?
on the 20th.
20th.
Can you tell me who is on student ethics?
I was gonna say, if I'm on student ethics,
I
5
don't know
is a
that I
little
am.
hard.
It is Sally, Melissa, Sealy, Peggy, and Laura.
I thought it was on that one. 5 pushes it for me because I typically have meetings. Can we do 5:30?
5:30? Sure.
Okay, 5:30 on the 20th. And that's tentative. With any
you
luck?
email us if it's on.
What's that?
You email us if it's on.
I will, yep.
Perfect.
Okay. Um,
So for policy, would that
So
put us on the
policy,
13th
when? The
or-
13th?
Or do we want to
Could we, I mean, is it possible?
do the
Oh,
20th after?
I was gonna say, do we want to do 6:30 on the 20th after? Is enough of us on that committee that would be helpful?
All right. So policy 6:30 on the 20th.
Works for me.
Thank you.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, goodness. The 20th.
20th.
Is that good for you?
Is it?
Your face.
It doesn't work. It's, we can,
6:30?
Yeah.
Sure.
6:30 on the 20th.
On the calendar.
It's at
policy. They're both at the
At
SAU.
SAU.
Yep.
All right?
Yep.
Anybody else? Going once? All right, new business.
Oh.
What?
Nothing.
Yes, yeah, go for
I'd like
it.
to throw one monkey wrench into that plan. If there was a possibility that the Student Ethics Committee, because that's a non-meeting,
Yep.
that we may be able to do that virtually if an agreement is made before that time. So I don't know if you want to put it up in the air to move the policy committee to 5:30, if that does occur.
If everybody's flexible on the team with that, I'm fine with that.
I'm flexible with that. How about you?
Okay.
The 20th?
We'll
The
let you know in
20th,
plenty of
so-
time, by the middle
Oh.
of next week.
I already wrote it down as 5:30, so.
She'll be
All
there
right.
early.
So she's gonna
Ay,
be
ay,
cooling
ay.
her heels. All right.
Okay.
Have you got anything else there on that? Are we good? All right. So, under new business, we're gonna have a personnel update.
We are. So in the packet, we have 3 resignations.
Ugh,
Um,
And they broke my heart.
Yes.
A 7th grade social studies, Justin Power, our food service director, Chris Michael, which is very sad.
Heartbreaking.
Yes. And we received one more resignation since the packet went to print, and that is Rachel Power, high school math teacher, who is resigning as of the 21st of November.
Oh, my gosh.
And then we have retirement notifications from effective June 30th of 24 from Mary Paradise, Mark Kimball, who's a social studies teacher here at the high school, Cindy Falabella, who's a school counselor at Bosquen, Kim Kenny, who's a 3rd grade teacher at Bosquen, and we have another one that got in on time for the deadline of November 1, but we needed to get some clarification, so it didn't make the packet, and that is Stephanie Haspes, French teacher here at the high school. So they will all be
Really?
retiring at the end of this school year.
This school year.
Yes.
Okay. Where are we? You all have received your copies of the manifest and journal entries. Tracy and I have signed off on them electronically. Could I have a motion to accept those, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I really don't have anything to report.
Can I take your time?
Yes, you
Thanks.
can.
So, I saw Ken Fuller, the principal at the Learning Center, and he told me that in the month of September, there were 306 people that were fed from the food pantry that was opened that month in the Learning Center. And for the October numbers, there would be, he didn't have quite the final numbers for October, but he said it was at least 306, maybe more. So that's good news.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
That's great. Catherine, your turn.
Great. So recognizing the board goal of transitions, I've continued to work to gain a better understanding of this role and the responsibilities that come with it. This past month, I've attended a variety of trainings. Topics include 504s, dyslexia legislation, the new seclusion law, the McKinney-Vento Act, and social emotional learning. Additionally, I've spent a great deal of time working on and becoming familiar with our Title II, Title IV-A, and our ESSER 3 grants. Around the district, this past month, our elementary schools in particular have leaned into our community partnerships with our local first responders, collaborating on our walk to school efforts, as well as recognizing Fire Safety Week in all of the schools. And in an effort to continue Randy's tradition of highlighting some of the good news from our classrooms, I wanted to share a few middle school highlights. Our sixth grade scientists have been quite busy. I know the board saw the WMUR highlight from the meteorologist that visited just last week. They have also taken a field trip to the Squam Lake Science Center and participated in a highly engaging experiment creating elephant toothpaste. Very exciting for them. It's
Cool.
hydrogen peroxide, dish soap yeast. Imagine a large, colorful explosion. Very, very exciting for them. And finally, our eighth grade students returned on Friday from the Washington, D.C. field trip. And I just wanted to express our gratitude to the faculty members that spent countless hours planning this trip and then were away from their families all of last week to make this opportunity possible for our students. And so those individuals were Mr. Lynch, Ms. Dunn, Ms. Newton, Mr. Mahoney, Mr. Gallagher, Mr. Sargent, Mr. McNutt, Ms. Cutter, Ms. Harrington, Mr. Carpenter, and Mr. Wheeler. So thank you to all of those individuals.
Thank you.
Great. Your turn.
All right, thank you. So budget season for us starts the day after the annual meeting and goes forever. But right now it's really starting to kick into gear, as Hillary had referenced. So that certainly is, pushing that transition that that Catherine was speaking of. I was able to attend the Kidder Law Conference and get some free legal advice by asking, good questions to lawyers from around the state, as well as our own law firm, and just try to get a grip on some of the new legislation and how that might impact us currently and moving forward as we look at the different LSRs that are out there, and the different legal opinions on what some of those LSRs could do for us in the future. Most of it's not good, but at least we know what could be coming. I am a member of the Superintendent Advisory Board for superintendent certification for Southern New Hampshire University. So we've had some meetings, some evening meetings to sort of look at their program and the new direction for, developing this next group of central office leaders. And was interviewed by the Department of Ed this past week as they look to approve and extend the program, the CAGS and doctoral programs that they have at Southern New Hampshire for that particular the superintendent certification. So that's been an interesting process with about 10 other superintendents from around the state, and it's been very interesting looking at the program and trying to figure out what exactly central office leaders need, and particularly with the changes that are occurring. What is that next group trying to predict? What are going to be some of the challenges that are being faced? Like right now, we've already talked about, losing people? How can we retain people and some of those issues? And, you know, the ideas of equity flowing through things and the different pillars that sort of hold up a program and what would be required. So that's been very interesting. Originally, I had hoped to piggyback the SAU board meeting, as you may remember, with the Merrimack Valley board meeting. But because of, I think, the potential for the SAU board meeting to run much longer than it typically does due to some things that we'll be bringing forth at that meeting, we're going to have it on December 6th, which is the Wednesday. And I think we can do 6 o'clock for that board meeting. That's typically when we have it, but we were hopeful it's going to be at Merrimack Valley. We were hopeful that we could save you a night and piggyback that, but just because of the nature of the discussion, I think it may go longer, and we didn't want to have people waiting for the MV board meeting.
That's good. Yeah,
So,
what time?
6 o'clock
6 o'clock,
I'm
yep.
sorry.
On Wednesday, the 6th,
Got it.
here.
here at Merrimack Valley.
Yep.
And then the spring meeting will be in Andover.
Okay, that's typically
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah, we flip-flop them from year to year, but
Okay,
that's it.
all right. Thank you. Topics for the next board meeting?
I have one, and this might actually be more of a point of order question, but I would like the board to visit adding a new policy under finance, like policy DI, which would be fiscal accounting and reporting. Kind of maybe enshrining some of the reports we already do and some of the future ones that we will be doing, like on the tuition reporting. Now, would that be something we would have to bring to policy first, or would the board? Okay,
It would go to
So,
policy first.
great. So, Catherine, I'll talk to you about it later. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so, yeah. Anything else? All right, then. I will open the floor for public comment. Is anybody interested in saying anything? Hearing none? Can we go right into non-public, or do we have to leave?
So we are going to be going into non-public under reasons B and C. There's going to be a little bit of space in between as we have a non-meeting dealing with the MBAA negotiations, but then we'll be going into non-public under reasons B and C. And then we'll be coming back to public to act on anything that occurred in the non-public or non-meeting.
So can we vote on going into non-public
Yep.
now? All right. Could I have a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91A 32B and C?
So moved. Second.
That's a roll call vote, please.
Celia Longnecker.
Yes.
Peggy Jones Blanchard is absent. Tracy Bricky.
Yes.
Is here. Sally Hirsch Dickinson is absent. Jessica Wheeler Russell.
Yes.
Laura Vincent.
Yes.
Eric Hinton.
Yes.
Daniel Gork is absent. Owen Harrington is absent. Lauren Martin. Yes. And Melissa Muzzy.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. We'll take a few minutes break to get ourselves organized for non-public. And thank you all for being here.
I'm pretty sure I was on this.
Thank you, guys.